Trying to be a man.
All right, those online, can you hear me? Smalls, can you give me a thumbs up? Good, right on, cool. All right, thanks everyone, in person, online, as you're watching, this is a recording, whatever it may be. Thanks for showing up. We wanted to just get together, get everybody together and kind of get on the same page and talk a little bit about why the spring looks a little bit different than the fall. I believe in one of my previous recordings, in the fall, I talked about the difference between, or I should say the schedule change that we're gonna make. So what the fall is gonna look like is gonna be what we have always done. Fire 1 at Fort Carson as what we're calling a standalone class. This spring then is gonna be the regional academy. So we won't do a firefighter 1 down at Carson as a standalone class. It will just be the regional academy. And when we talk about terminology, it's really important that we keep those two separate. So Fire 1 is a course, a standalone class. The spring is an academy, just because the amount of certifications, the amount of time that is spent at the academy. So I think about maybe 10 instructors were involved in the academy last year. It's going to look a little bit different student makeup wise this year. So those that were there last year, please chime in on stuff I'm forgetting, things that, you know, kind of lessons we learned from last year and so forth. So please speak up. I sent everybody the document or the agenda, if you will, that we're going to go over today, just if you want to review it if you're online. So what's the difference? Of course, we talked about the scheduling looks different. But the biggest thing is the academy is more of an increased pace. I mean, we're trying to run this like a career metro department academy. So the pace is going to be increased. The discipline is a little bit higher. There's higher expectations. And then I threw in there, I encourage the chain of command. So just like we do for Fire 1, we'll have a class lead, we'll have team leads. And we want to make sure that they follow that chain of command to start instilling that in them. So I talked about the makeup being a little bit different. Last year we had 15. 14 of those were being sponsored or paid for by a department, either Monument or Black Forest. Monument had 9, Black Forest had 5. We knew that model wasn't going to be sustainable in this region just because not many departments hire like on a standard schedule and process. So what we did was, hi, we just got started. So what we did going into the spring semester was, yes, well, I didn't see it like that's actually.
You're in the upper left.
It doesn't see.
So what we did going into this spring semester is we left the application that Ty had up there online for Fire 1. And then as applications would come in or people would call us, email us and express interest in quote unquote the academy, we would talk to them and say, hey, we're not doing Fire 1 in the spring as a standalone course, we're doing this academy. And we pitched it to them. We were hoping we get 8 to 10 students. We have 20 students that are paying their own way this semester. So the sell, that's probably not the right word to put on there, but whatever. What we explained to them is if you attend this academy, it doesn't guarantee you a job. We all know that. They need to understand that, but it makes you more marketable. Whether you're going to a department that has their own training academy and you're going to go through it again, that's a good speaking point in your interview. Smaller agencies that don't have their training academy or have a training academy, then, you know, we can, again, it makes you ready to go. So that was kind of the premise behind this. Now, what's on us is to ensure that we're out in the region and departments, agencies know that we're putting this type of product out and hopefully hiring these individuals. We're not saying this is going to be a hiring tool for every agency, but it could be. So anyways, the expectations are a lot higher. The makeup, again, like I said, 20 students that are paying their own way.
Yeah.
We should have a total of 3 from Monument that will be sponsored by Monument and actually employed and being paid by Monument. We have 1 for sure. They're supposedly going to be hiring 2 more this week. So we should have a total of 3 from Monument. Larkspur, we were going to have 1. They bailed out I won't get into it, but we will not have a Larkspur representative. So we're anticipating 23 recruits.
So 3 for Monument.
Hopefully, we have 1 for sure. But hopefully they're going to be hiring 2 more this week. So right now we're at technically 21, hopefully to be at 23. I'm not going to go through and try to share the screen. Hopefully it works. All right, so this, ignore Larkspur's thing. This is the expectations document that every student will have a printed copy. I'm not going to go through everything. I sent it to you. If you want to read it word for word, great, go ahead and do that. But I do want to go over a couple things on it. Hopefully it answers some questions as far as, you know, what the academy looks like, expectations and so forth. So this is kind of the org chart. I hate putting things to org charts because I think we have such a great group of individuals that teach that we're all invested in it. But nonetheless, agencies like to see this. So myself, Kate, Chris, and Rocco will all be, actually, we're not academy leads. I haven't changed that in this document. We'll be the directors of the academy. So what's our roles? Everything basically behind the scenes. And it's like, well, you really need 4 of you to do that. It is amazing the amount of work that has to be done behind the scenes. Every little thing pops up, the planning and so forth. So we'll be quote unquote the directors of the academy. One thing that we implemented this year are skills leads. That's gonna be Pete, Rudy, Apron, Vise, Justice, and Keith. Their role and responsibility is to ensure consistency on the drill ground, how we are teaching everything. One of them will be assigned each day, and their sole responsibility is to walk around from pod to pod, ensuring we are teaching that skill, how we taught it yesterday, how we taught it last week, how we taught it a month ago. We all know that through Fire One, that's been the biggest hang up and the biggest challenge is consistency in how we're teaching. So this group that's their responsibility. In addition to the daily walking around, ensuring consistency on how we're teaching, they're going to be the go-tos on if we need to make any tweaks. I think we have a really good system on how we teach each JPR. But if there has to be a tweak, that group is going to discuss it, and that's how it will go. So, and then the rest of the cadre, of course. So any questions on that? Myself, Rocco, Cates, and Chris, we told the skills lead group, hey, it's kind of on you to decide how things are going, you know, as far as how we're teaching it. Now, we want to be involved in that conversation, but we're going to really rely heavily on that group. And again, I don't want to come across as we're reinventing the wheel. Okay, that's not the goal of the skills leads. The goal is to ensure that consistency that we pretty much already have established. I'm just going to page through this document just to go over some things. Okay. And again, this is just kind of for your knowledge, just to kind of show some examples of the increased level, if you will, of what we're doing here and expectations. So they'll have written section tests. They'll have practice tests that we give them. We want to get them to pass every certification test, right? That is kind of the end goal, right? So we have plenty of tests that they practice tests, the written section tests, those are on a 80% threshold. So anything below an 80% is considered a failure. When it comes to those, they can't have more than 3. Now, we cannot remove them from the academy because they are paying the tuition to be there. But If they are not being successful either academically or skills wise, we can have a nice conversation with them saying, A, maybe you don't do this academy, maybe you take each certification class one at a time, kind of at a slower pace to help you out. Or we tell them, hey, maybe the fire service isn't for you, and we can have that candid conversation, but we cannot remove them from the class. What we can do on the section tests and the 3 strikes is we can withhold them from taking the state test. So gives us a little bit of teeth there. Same thing, we have skills tests almost every week, and then skills evaluations, again, prepping them for that state test.
I know that was hard, and we can talk about this after, but the one individual that we had this last Fire One class, that was a pain in everyone's
Mhm.
ass.
Mhm.
And it was almost distracting
Mhm.
the academy, your boy. And that was the cool part, is it didn't matter what instructors were there, all different personalities. And but all of us had issues with that person, but it was getting to a point, yes, we understand they're paying. And they're there for a reason, but it was to a point that it didn't matter how good a documentation we had, it was becoming an issue for.
It was, yeah, and I hopefully we won't get to that point with any of these.
Right.
But it's reality.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, we've said it for years, right? The faces change, the classes stay the same, and on the students that we get, so. We do have a discipline process in place as well. And again, really, we don't have to get into the weeds on this, but what I do want to talk about is the EDR, Excellence Discrepancy Report. And this is the first step, and we'll show you these guys when you're out there. They're just little booklets, call them EDRs. They can be issued for goods or bads, right? And what we like about them is that really helps us when we write their monthly eval. We track those EDRs, again, a good thing or a bad thing, and we implement that into their monthly evaluation. So we ask that every instructor at least has something to, issue that EDR, have a booklet on you, or at least make note of it throughout the day. At the end of the day, you can issue it, and again, good or bad. But something that I'd like to see a little bit more of this year that we didn't do a whole lot of last year. And then as we progress down, if needed, a performance correction form, and then a PIP. So again, nothing really for you to worry about, but again, every instructor could be involved in this depending on, the day and the student and kind of how things are shaking out.
How do you want those forms? Like, I remember, we didn't fill many of those out, you guys did. You,
Yeah.
Chris, and
Oh, the EDRs?
yeah, when we had something good or bad, we got the books, and then we were like, oh, we're not gonna keep these, we're just gonna have. So we would report something to you, hey, it's good or bad, and then you guys would fill it out.
Yeah, and that's fine too. I mean, whatever system works
Okay.
is fine. Yeah, if you have one and we can fill it out real quick, if not, you just
Either way.
let us know. The skills lead, you're walking around, maybe the skills lead should have one,
Okay.
So, yep. Corrective action process, again, I'm not gonna read it to you, but just know that a system is in place. And all of you will get the flow and lay of the land as you're up there a little bit more, but there are areas where the recruits are to go and not to go. If you're familiar with the station up there, Black Forest Station 1, upstairs is the living quarters for the on-duty crew. Nobody's allowed up there. I mean, I don't even think we went up there.
I never went up there.
Never been up there.
Yeah, so that's fine. We have a classroom it'll be completely ours. We'll have an office that will be completely ours, a little bit bigger one than last year, so that's a plus.
Oh.
Yeah. Never mind. This
I
is
was
being
gonna
recorded.
ask.
Hey, this is being recorded.
Yeah. I was gonna-
Who's office this time?
So anyways, we'll have an office and then, of course, the drill ground, and then, their gym is in the bay, and it's, I don't know, pretty.
It's nice.
Yeah, it was 2021, we're gonna have to get creative.
Yeah,
24, we're definitely get creative.
yeah,
Maybe I have to talk to the crew to pull out a truck they kind of changed up, they got rid of the ladder out of there, but now there's a tender and the chief ride. So pull out one or both of those in the morning to make enough room for PT, but we'll figure that out when we get there.
Sure. That. Oh, so anyways, the academy areas, I mean, just like down at Carson, right? We are guests up there. So not only us, but the class, the recruits are expected to respect that property and so forth. So, anyways, you'll get the flow and lay of the land pretty, pretty quickly.
And I might be jumping ahead, you might be touching on it, but it's purely our people now, not like last academy where they had.
Good question.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead.
Okay.
No, you're not. I don't even think I have that on there. So yeah, Cody's referring to, both Monument and Black Forest, since they have people in the academy, that's what we're doing it for. They actually pulled, people off the line, one individual from each agency, not the case this year.
Okay.
Buckner for Monument last year, he's still assigned to the training division.
Okay.
On a staff position, so he'll be around if we need anything. I hit him up to see if he could do our mask fit testing and stuff like that, so.
Okay.
But no, there won't be anybody assigned.
And
We'll
then-
talk about the schedule, what that looks like.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll get to that. Academy closures, so. I understand, right? What we all do, we're expected to report to work, this and that, all that. But we're kind of putting ourselves out there if we say, no, we're running the academy today and the college closes. Student gets in an accident on the way to and from the academy, whatever, they could come back and say, shit, I was required to be there and the college is closed. So chances are if the college closes due to weather, we probably will close the academy that day. We have some flexibility built in because we're doing the academy Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Maybe that following week we go 5 days a week to make up that day. I hate to do it and we'll try not to do it, but maybe if we have to go in on a weekend. So just be flexible with that. But when it comes to closing or not running the academy due to weather, we'll be following what the college does. And I will say they close a lot more often now than they did in years past. So just be prepared for that. And very rarely do they do any delays. If they do, we can figure that out day of. Talked about them being removed from the academy. We can't, but we can keep them from taking the state test.
Can we suggest that they bump to another academy?
Say it again.
Can we suggest they go to, like, if they don't pass or they're terrible,
Mhm.
or they're like Cody's buddy? Can we say, hey, you've gotten so far behind, you're not gonna be able to catch up? And do we give them the opportunity to say another academy is gonna be next?
Oh, next year?
Yeah, you bump into the next academy. I mean, obviously, if they would get a full refund and then probably pay for the next one and just say,
Right.
because there's gonna be a point in time where we have individuals that can't physically do certain things with Keith or do things on the drill ground or failing multiple exams, and they're gonna take more effort and time from us
Correct.
and it'll take away from the other kids.
Mhm.
So there's gotta be a time where we just say, you know, other options.
Yeah, and I think our first one would be, hey, withdraw from this. In the fall, take Fire One as a standalone course, as in that sense. But, I don't know, I mean, that's a good thought. That would be something that would probably be a case by case basis if we're gonna allow them into the next academy.
Isn't it still a college class? though?
It is.
So if I fail college tests or I fail the
Yeah.
class.
Yes. But they can still be in the academy, like Kevin was saying. And Cody was alluding to right there.
We're putting more
They're
effort in.
distracted. Yeah.
We've talked about this in the past though too. This is a difficult balance to find in that we've got paying students that we want to run this as a career academy. But we've got paying students that are not employed by somebody. And I know we've got 3 potentially with Monument, but those exception in this one was last time was a little easier. If a student wasn't cutting, we had 1.
Yeah.
That was gonna be an easy conversation.
Yeah.
Now we've got majority students, which is 3 paid people And it's gonna be harder to say, no, you gotta go someplace else when they pay for this education, especially if they're doing okay passing the class. They may not meeting our standards as far as, we may not wanna work with this individual, but are they meeting the standards of the class that we set forward to pass? That's gonna be a tough conversation. And to have the backing of the college to say, no, we removed them when they're like, but I was passing, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting. All right. Parking, we are allowed to park in that main parking lot, don't park behind the bays, that's for the on-duty folks, but we can use the main parking lot on the south side there. The recruits will actually park up kind of on the drill ground, that road that leads from teach out to the drill ground, that's gonna be interesting as well, so.
Well, and they move more things as they clean things out, that road, as far as the entrance for parking. They're not spots like last time.
Okay. So,
Is there being paving? Like, have they touched anything up there? I know there are plans.
100% paved, we're not gonna have any issues with that.
Right.
yeah,
They did put all that rock down toward, like on where the drill connexes are.
Yeah.
The burn connexes. So all of that is rocked and dirted now. And they moved that semi down that way. We may be able to park them all by that semi. But again, if it snows, that could be a pain in the ass, but
yeah.
This is still the same ankle breaking
Wow.
rocks
they're,
last time?
they're pounded down. They're not as bad as they
Not as
were.
bad.
Yeah, they're still rocks, but they
Good
put,
try.
they put road base down to kind of clean it up a little bit.
Alright,
Yeah, it's cleaned up, for sure. That blue tower that was off limits last year is now good to go.
The Connex Tower,
Yeah,
so the one that's on the north side?
2-story.
they had like the
Walk
basement.
out.
Walk out,
Walk
yeah.
basement. Okay.
They did
Okay.
something different with it, they fixed
They
it.
just
they
fixed it, yeah.
made it safe.
Okay.
So that'll be good. We'll have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to props and so forth. Here's just a EDR. Again, it's just a small little deal. And again, if we can start implementing that a little bit more, that would help. So. All right. All right, next here. Okay, so I talked on this a little bit, the consistency in teaching and how we're teaching things. So the first couple weeks, what the schedule looks like is the first week is basically PPE and SCBA. And the reason we do that is because weeks 2 and 3 are hazmat. And talking to the hazmat folks, it really helps if the students are familiar with PPE and SCBA. They don't have to spend time on, well, this is how you get your gear on. So we hit those 2 chapters or those 2 disciplines right away the first week. Weeks 2 and 3 are all hazmat. And our goal is in those first 3 weeks is to record every JPR. And this is how we're teaching it. This is how we're teaching ladders. This is how we're doing forcible entry. And again, that consistency, those will be on the YouTube channel that we've established. And then the expectation is when you come in for your day to teach, we as a group, the skills lead assigned, and whoever is teaching that day is going to sit there and watch the video that they're teaching as a group. And I don't care if Toby, you were in yesterday teaching ladders and you're teaching ladders today. We're all sitting down and watching those videos. If we find there has to be a tweak in something, week 4, week 5, I don't care when, we're gonna reshoot that video and upload that to YouTube, okay? So that's where we're trying to, between the skills leads, the videos, that's really where we're trying to bridge that gap of the consistency in teaching. The instructor manual, it's still out there. It needs some work. We need to adjust it a little bit. We can use it. Again, it's a tool for us to use. It's a starting point if we have questions, but really the end goal is in those first 3 weeks, we have all the videos shot, uploaded, ready to go. This is how we're teaching. The instructor manual we'll work on as a group some of the point over the summer, I guess. So, Rocco talks a lot about this, and Rocco, I should back up in that org chart. Rocco's gonna kind of float in between a director and a skills lead. He really has his passion for how we teach stuff, scripts and so forth, so he'll be kind of integrated in with the skills lead group as well. But don't get into the weeds when you're teaching, okay? We all understand, we all have different ways, either right or wrong, right, all of them work. If we need to make that adjustment to a student just based on, because they just don't get it, right? They have to throw a ladder this way compared to what we're teaching. Okay, we understand that, but we gotta have that base. Use the JPRs. We have laminated copies up there. We printed the poster size JPRs that are laminated, so if you're teaching ladders that day, grab that big one, post it up on the Connex or whatever. So utilize those things. The students will have JPR quizzes as well. So they'll get a JPR and one of the steps will be missing, they gotta fill it out. And that's all gradable towards their overall grade. All right, so what does the day look like? I told you what the first 3 weeks look like. PPE and SCBA first week, hazmat weeks 2 and 3. And then we take a block, I think 8 weeks is Fire 1-ish. They take their Fire 1 state written and practical, and then we do a week of S130, 190, and that's really gonna be, Monument's gonna be taking that, teaching. And then we do about 4 weeks of Fire 2, and then like 3 days of driver operating. So we have it blocked out that way. And again, after every block, they take that state test. So, but what does a normal day look like? And I know, I appreciate everybody being flexible on those times. I know we asked you, hey, if you're signing up for this day, if you're available basically 8:30 to 5 o'clock. And I understand there's some late starts in there, and that's just due to, we're gonna teach the classroom portion that morning, so we don't need instructors till 11 or whatever. So thank you for being flexible in that, but what does it look like normally? They'll come in, they'll be in uniform, they're gonna report in uniform every day. Unless they are just knocking it out of the park in weeks 10, 11, maybe we can get a little bit more lax on that. But the expectation is they show up in uniform for 2 reasons. Number one, they're gonna do morning formation. And we're gonna implement oral quizzes, and that'll be fitnesses for the ones that they get wrong and stuff like that. And then they're gonna have a timeline, maybe it'll start at 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes, get changed, get to the gym. And then if they're coming back for classroom, cool. Got another 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, get changed in uniform for classroom. If they're going on to the drill ground, obviously we'll make them do that. So they'll show up in uniform formation. Then they'll go straight into PT. So we are starting at 7 o'clock every morning. Keith has the overall plan for PT. Kirsten Tarvanian, for those who with CSFD know her, we brought her on board, and she is basically going to be there every morning at 7 o'clock and running PT. If Keith is there, cool, both will be running PT. But it does a couple things for us. Number one, it gives us consistency in PT. I felt like we lost that a little bit last year. And it also allows us to make adjustments if there's any injuries or anything like that. So Kirsten's gonna be on board. She'll be there every morning to handle PT. That will get done probably around 8:30. And then we'll either go into the classroom or we'll get on the drill ground. So those that are coming, especially when we start doing all drill ground days, those that are coming off duty, we get it. You get a late alarm, waiting on a relief, whatever it is, just get there as fast as you can. If you're on 4-day, be there ready to go.
I know some of them, looking at the schedule, you said 11 o'clock. I know last year, our last academy, it was helpful to come see what they were being taught that day to kind of get a grasp of that. We've gotten better as far as having a plan, and it's not our first time doing it, but are you still okay with us coming to do that, or you want us to show up what time?
Probably just show up
At 11.
at 11.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be busy. That classroom's gonna be full,
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think we'll all get in the groove of kind of what and how. Then towards the end of the day, it'll be drill ground. They clean the station every day, obviously not upstairs. They'll clean the offices, office corridor, the classroom, bay, whatever else. And then we have an evening or afternoon, formation where they go over a line of duty depth. And then they do some push-ups for the line of duty depth and all that other stuff, so. Let's see, next. So some of your expectations, uniform, I know it's a challenge to get apparel through this place, so we're working through that. So if you don't have something, please be patient, we'll get you stuff. But if you're showing up, if you're gonna teach a classroom day, polo, BDU pants and boots. If you're coming in and it's just drill ground, PT gear is fine.
Polos, and polos are in, we'll issue those out, obviously, when you show up.
Do we have different ones? Same ones as last year?
Yeah, same ones last.
Kate, you want to talk about instructor PPE?
Yeah, so we have bunker racks up there for those of you who are up there for the move day for instructors. So that'll be good. You can keep your stuff stored up there if you're not working. Well, which we won't, we're not running the fire too, so. I'll also issue you a red bag if you need to, if you wanna just keep it in your ride. But, if you need bunker gear none of it got washed at all for this last semester. If you feel like it needs to be washed because you had live fire and you'd like that sent in to get cleaned, then we'll do that, ASAP. Just gotta let me know, shoot me an email if you want your gear cleaned. I'd like you to bag it up for me, and that way it's easy. I can go pick it up and deliver it up there to get cleaned. But if you're happy with your gear right now, just make sure you have it up day one. Your responsibility to get on Fort Carson and get your gear if that's where it's at. For new instructors, we'll set up a day where I can meet you down there. And we might just have to get a gate pass, just a daily for you, since we no need to get you all set up for a yearly pass just yet, since we won't be down on Fort Carson. Let's maybe fire, we'll work that out. Either way, if you need gear, make sure you shoot me an email, give me a call, shoot me a text. We'll get something scheduled to get that figured out before you teach up there at Black Forest.
So you did not move, I know you moved the racks up there, but you did not move gear.
We did not move racks up. Those are brand new racks up there for the instructors and the students. So we did not move gear.
Like I say, there's not, however many instructors you have, there's not enough racks for all. the
Right, no, there
instructors.
won't be. You're gonna need to share. It's just the racks there just to kind of as a placeholder. You won't have an assigned rack
You're talking about Black Forest.
at Black Forest, correct?
But all the gear all of our gear is still at Fort
At
Carson,
Fort Carson, so,
the
yeah,
gear that we had.
correct.
So I have a
didn't
pair of
change
boots at Black Forest, and are they just where they were?
them. They were where they were.
Okay,
They got moved, because we did move those racks from the Black Forest Connex they were letting us use to the
Yeah.
Connex we moved up there.
okay,
So they're sitting in there.
so we can go to Fort Carson and grab our stuff, just use the code. And then bring it over to, is the
Yep.
code the same,
Same code.
and the same gate, the gate code's still the same to get in?
Gate code's still the same, and we can share that with the instructors if need be.
Where do you want the radios? I have a shit ton of radios.
No.
Do you want them, when do you want me to bring them?
Uh,
The 21st?
yeah.
They're just in the back of my car, so.
Yeah. We'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. Any question on gear? So bottom line is, if you don't have your gear with you, it's down at Carson, go get it. If you need gear, coordinate with Kate's and get your gear.
You need gear, it's down in Carson. We'll
Well,
go
that's
to-
it. Yeah. Radios, huh? 20.
20 radios, 25 bandoleros, 2 charging stations and 30 batteries.
So at Run coordinated with CSFD's training division, so we'll have radios, actual radios, not the little ones that we were stupid last year. So we'll actually have legit radios. Probably how we'll break it out, we'll see, is obviously each team leader, every instructor, and then the skills lead will all have radios for the day, so. Please take care of them. We are on the hook if they are damaged, lost, everything, so, please.
Kevin signed for them, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Keith.
You're welcome.
Okay, so back to kind of your expectations, I think we've drilled in consistency enough. We do work in about a 30-minute lunch, that's not a whole lot of time. There are some places pretty close by, Subway, Pies and Grinders.
Subway closed.
Oh, they did?
Your favorite place, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was. That's the only place we could go. Where'd it go?
There's a barbecue joint down the road, so,
The chicken coop,
oh, there you go, yeah.
Regardless, we'll find something for
Yeah.
you.
irregardless.
So anyways, bring your food or you can run out real quick.
I'm gonna say it again.
Chief Rocco has, if you don't know, Chief Bartlett and Chief Rocco are kind of managing the chief role of the Black Forest right now. That could change here in the next week, the next month. We're not really sure what that looks like quite yet. But nonetheless, as it stands right now, Chief Rocco did offer up their conference room if we want to stage stuff in there, eat in there, just because of the office, and now we're gonna have 7 instructors almost every day. So again, please take care of it. We're really trying to limit the, I don't even want to say burden, but we don't want to become a burden or pain for Black Forest. They are not sending anybody through this academy, but they are still allowing us to host it up there. So please be respectful of the staff and their grounds. So, we do have an instructor code of conduct, and that came into play last year when Monument and Black Forest asked us to do this. They asked if we had an instructor code of conduct. I said, no, we don't. So between them and us, we kind of worked one up. It's nothing crazy. But we will have you guys sign that just because we do have Monument folks that are going to be in this academy. So basically the expectation is it's a little bit more ramped up than Fire One, probably a lot more. But we're not going to the old school screaming in their face, you know, belittling them, kicking their helmet across the drill ground, stuff like that. Can we hold them accountable? Yep. Can we have high expectations? Yep. Can we get amped up a little bit? Yep. So it's not a touchy-feely academy, but we're not the same basic training either. So
Was that because of what those departments have gone through, or?
what they have experienced with other academies that they have sent their folks to.
Okay,
Yes.
but not from what they experienced this
Not
last
from
year?
the, no,
Okay.
not from what we did last year. No. That code of conduct was, like I said, was established, so. All right, Smalls had a question for the Monument folks. Can they be fired from academies? We technically can't fire them, but we can show everything to their agency and the agency makes that decision. Now, that being said, go ahead, Casey.
I say early documentation, doing everything on our end is gonna be critical, and obviously the communication with Monuments leadership early on. So if we are having any issues, those skills leads, as well as all the leads, just anybody out there, if we're seeing anything, we need to start having those conversations early and documenting that to the team, so.
Yeah. I will say that it is written in the student expectations, and this was per the agencies last year. If the recruit does not complete the academy, it is grounds for termination. So, but again, we're not doing the firing. We're just presenting, this is what we got, and it's ultimately up to them to make that decision.
How does, if we don't have a representative from Monument, then what do we do for injuries and getting them to doctor's appointments and stuff?
Yep, that still kind of falls on them, so that partner,
Buckner will still be around for that.
yeah,
And then who's doing the 1403 stuff, and we have live burns?
that will be Rocco and Rudy and Keith.
So our guys will, not Black Forest guys. Black Forest guys aren't gonna work the connexes and stuff like they've done in the past.
Nope.
They're gonna let us do it all.
Bartlett gonna let us burn up there?
To be determined.
Okay.
If needed, on burn days, we may have to field trip down to Carson.
Okay.
Yeah. No, like I said, we are trying really hard to limit anything we ask from really either agency. We're doing this all on our own. I mean, ladders, we brought all our ladders up. You know, we're not using any of theirs, so. We have moved a second Connex up there. Well, we had 2 up there. They're only ours.
Apparatus.
Oh, good one. We have the old CSFD reserve. That's
The one-
still up there.
The one that's up there?
Yeah.
That's Black Forests.
That is Black Forest. So,
And
but we should be, able to utilize Monuments, one of their reserve engines. And it's the old Westcott engine from whatever station that was, right in Glen Eagle. So we're hoping that we can stock that, right, load it with our hose, all of our equipment, and hopefully it won't be leak as much as the other one.
I think that's better though, because last year, I think the expectation for us is we'd have everything we needed. Remember, we had a hodgepodge of tools and like a bunch of different stuff, but putting it all on us, I think is easier than relying on them to have stuff.
Yeah,
Start chasing things around. I think
Yeah.
that was the biggest thing. So,
yeah.
like, where's this coming from? Where's that coming from?
Yeah, and that is a big part of it. It was kind of a mess. No, I don't want to say it was a mess last year, but everybody wanted to help, right? We had our gig, we were supplying what we were supplying. Monument had folks in it, Black Forest, so everybody kind of wanted to help, and it wasn't a bad thing, it just a little disorganized, yeah. And I don't know, even the folks that were up there last year, since last year's academy, we have purchased 2 more those green forcible entry props that are up there. So we actually have a total of 3 up there now. And then 2 vertical vent props. One is on the ground, you can change the pitch on it, and one is mounted to one of our connexes. So it's only 1 story up, but still, it's something. If you haven't, when you're on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Keith did a video both on the vertical vent prop and the forcible entry prop on the kind of the do's and don'ts. Forcible entry prop, the biggest thing is we can shock the door, but we don't have to try to move anything over, right? So it just beats up the prop too much. Vertical vent props basically don't cut top 2 feet, don't cut in the bottom 2 feet of the prop itself, because then you're gonna get into the brackets of the joists. Valentine texted me a question. Since last year, was there any further feedback from us, from Black Forest or Monument, how the recruits are doing? Nothing major. We haven't had a real sit down with them, a year, or what, 8 months in, 10 months in, something like that. But I have had multiple meetings with, Chief Kovacs with Monument, with Rocco and Bartlett now at Black Forest. All the recruits that we trained last year, we put out a good product. Is bottom line. They said they struggle a little bit with station life and expectations. So that may be something we kind of lean on. Well,
But that last academy, that was on them.
I agree with you.
But yeah, we can do that.
Mm,
But every department's different.
right.
We can give them basic.
Basics versus Carson, yes, I agree. I think maybe general, Rocco likes to do Friday afternoon coffee talks.
That was awesome.
They're good, Rocco, when you're
Cookies.
watching this, I'm not making funny. No, they are good. It's a time for us to kind of get to know the recruits a little bit better. It's a relaxed atmosphere where they can ask those types of questions, so it is a good thing. We'll implement those back in, this year, so.
And that was personnel, like the people that went through that academy that we knew were good people are doing well. I've talked to a couple of their officers up there, and the ones that we struggled with struggled.
Yeah,
So
and make no doubt, this is gonna be, for those that were there last year, this is gonna be different. We're gonna have, I hope not, but we are going to have more struggles with students. Because last year, they had a job on the line.
Yeah, but the student we did have did better than
Well, and that's true too.
some of the
Yeah.
people that did have a
And
job.
that's true too. And I'll take accountability for this. The 20 that we have in there. If I passed them on the street today, I wouldn't know. Because we didn't do an official in-person interview. We had conversations with them, listing out the expectations, this is what it takes, this and that. But we don't know. We don't know what kind of product we don't know what kind of person we're gonna get in each of these individuals. I have a good feeling on all of them, but it's gonna be that bell curve like we've seen, right? So, Rocco, are you on?
I am.
you have anything to add?
Bring better cookies on
I'll bake cookies this year. I have to belabor some points though, even though Jamie said he hates belaboring, but the consistency thing, I want to make sure that that was clear because, it might have been misspoken the other day. We are not asking you to come in at all and recreate any single job sheet. Every single job sheet for Fire One and Fire Two has been scripted out. Our biggest problem we have is this group is too skilled and too good. That's really our problem because all of you show up and go, well, I learned a better way, or we do it this way at my department, which is all fine and good and very true and honest. I get that. The problem is that if Jamie says, hey, we should turn left, and Kate says we should turn right, and Rocco says we should go upside down, they're all probably right and they're great and they have good value, but we can't keep changing it on the students. Remember, our goal is to get them through their certs, and then we have time built in at the end to do, this is how you really do it, or this is a better way, or hey, look at this. We have those days built in. So in the beginning, I know, Jamie said, hey, we want you to all decide stuff. He doesn't mean that three of you get together one day and go, hey, we're going to go left. That's not what we're saying. If you come up with something, please chain it up just like any other chain of command. So bring it up to Kate's or Rocco or Gutchick or Chris Johnson. And then we'll make sure that that's what we all, that the entire academy wants to do. And then, like Jamie said, we'll change the video and job sheets to match. But I don't think there's many things we would need to change. Everything is scripted for Black Forest, and if we have to use Carson, we all know that fire script already, so we don't need to change that. So that's one of the points. The second point is that please don't forget that Black Forest is in a little turmoil right now. Please, like Jamie said, we don't want to stand out or cause them any strife. They have enough strife right now with what they're going through. So please, be kind, be nice. Chief Bartlett, is kind of asking that we don't, hinder the staff there. So Lisa and Rachel, who will do anything for you if you ask, we've noticed even the crews there, they take up all of their time every day and then they don't get their own work done. So if you need anything from the admin side, please talk to Kate's or Rocco or Gutchick or Johnson, and we'll figure that out for you. The station officers there will gladly help you with anything that you need. But again, instead of every single individual tracking down one of the officers, let's just go through the leads and keep that, kind of directed that way. Just remember, they're under a lot of stress right now. They don't know their futures. They don't know if they have jobs. They don't have jobs. So they're under a lot of stress right now. So just keep that in mind when you're out there. Not that we were ever bad last year. It's just that, right now, this year, they're not putting anybody through and they're sponsoring us to be out there. So we want to be kind in return, but that's fair enough. One thing Jamie didn't touch on is if you have issues with a group, please bring those up. Last year, there were a couple of things that Gutchick and I and Cates and Johnson did not know were happening. And then things happened and we were told about it afterwards. I think Gutchick's direction would probably be more to bring that to us first and let us weigh in on it. So clearly, if there's technical skill problems, you should address that on scene. But if it's anything outside of that behavior or whatever, please bring that stuff upward so that we're not caught off guard. And that was Chief PJ asked us last year about a thing like, how come you guys didn't know this? We're like, nobody told us. We didn't know that happened. So please prevent that this year. I like the Cookie Friday. I think the Cookie Friday is a great plan. For those who don't want to participate, you don't get a cookie. That's all I got.
All right, thanks, Rod.
Yeah.
One thing when we talked about scheduling and so forth, between the four of us, me, Rocco, Cates, and Chris.
Really?
Really?
What are you doing?
What in the?
How do I run this remote?
Oh, boy.
Jeez.
So one of us is identified, what?
Valentine needs to help, you know.
How to turn it off?
But you're trying to show us your socks.
This is recorded.
Between the four of us, one of us is identified every day as a short lead and a long lead. And the short lead is basically on 4-day and we'll be there at 7, just to kind of get the formation day rolling. Before we turn it over to Kirsten and Keith, and then, the long lead is basically there all day. And usually it's the person coming off duty, so getting there around 8:30, 9 o'clock, so. The short lead can help the skills leads, as needed, you know, with different things. Prepping for the next day, prepping for next week, whatever it may be, so. You should see two of the four of us around in the morning hours, and then at least one of us there for the duration of the day. Chris is, on light duty. So, and he will be through the academy. He'll probably have to have surgery at some point through the academy. So he will be, working around his morning hours, not to conflict with the CSMP hours. So, anyways, Case? Anybody else online or in person?
Do you want to go over that email with that Rudy sent out later, or you want to do stuff like that
We can do
on a
that.
daily basis?
That'll be a skills lead. Is
Okay.
that what it was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made a bell.
You made it,
So there is a bell on the drill ground on the helipad. So the helipad's got a green monster door prop and then it's got also that other forcible entry prop. Metal rebar cutting, garage door, whatever.
door one.
So it's mounted on that garage door deal. So I'm hoping that it should be able to hear the ring from there at the back of the station. So when we get into the fitnesses and Blue Falcons, we can kind of have a workout set up for the Blue Falcons, but there'll be a run instead of an up and over to the helipad, ring the bell and then back. If they're on the drill ground and they need to go ring the bell, have them go run somewhere, do some burpees, something, ring the bell, it's there. So.
What about injuries to them? What do we do?
So injuries to students, it falls on them to figure out. Obviously, if it is if something needs to be addressed right then and there, we have Black Forest, call 911 type thing, just like down at Carson.
They're not covered by the school, they're covered on their own. Okay. So how do we formulate plans for light stuff, or how much time can they have off from being hurt before they have to leave?
Yeah, and that'll be a case by case basis. If they're to a point where it's like, hey, they can't do anything they're restricted for 2-3 weeks. That's when we come into play and come down here and have a conversation with HR.
And this might sound, I don't know, bad, but do we have any females in the group?
Yes,
Do we have any female representation in our group?
Kirsten.
Because sometimes, you know, we talk to.
You speak up.
You can. Sometimes I don't want to speak up. Well, I mean, just thinking about it.
Anything else? Anybody online? All right,
Hey, Jamie, just real quick.
No, it's too late.
No, I couldn't find the button like Rocco. Just last year we had them doing like push-ups if Black Forest went on calls. Are we doing anything like that again?
yeah, so yeah, little things like that. So if they're in the classroom, they're out on the drill ground and Black Forest gets a call, they stop what they're doing, get out of their chairs and do 10 push-ups. I think they did last
For
year.
every call, yeah.
They will have a class motto that they will recite after formation, or when they come to attention, they will recite, Pikes Peak Regional Fire Academy, sir, ma'am, and then they follow it with their class motto. We'll give them a couple weeks for them to come up with that, but then, yeah, we'll implement that. So, yeah, little things like that, Smalls, we certainly want to continue.
Station cleanup.
Station cleaning, and at the end of the day, yep, absolutely. When they are on the office, in the office area, they are to announce themselves, recruit on deck. Yeah.
They'll still have their class flag that they'll need to carry out to the drill ground or where they're going. That'll still be a thing.
Their little coffee table and all that.
Yep.
Their coffee.
Coffee.
Can Rudy send out that email again with the bill? I wasn't attached to that one.
That was for the skills leads.
Oh, okay.
It's so we've just got a few little things that last academy, they aren't that big of a deal, but they were just some clarification stuff. Specifically some PPE, some forcible entry, a couple of ladders things, and it's really minute details. But we had Black Forest wanting to do one thing, Monument wanting to do another. We said we'd teach whatever way they wanted to. Ultimately, we kind of talked at the end of the semester last year, and we're like, you know what, we're gonna come up with a decision on these things and move forward as a college.
Mhm.
And then say, if you guys do something different, you can teach them that when they come back to your department, after we deliver. We're gonna teach them to the best way possible that we feel is appropriate. So essentially what we did is we just put together a quick email, went out to the skills leads today, just for what a few of those things are that I can remember. A couple other people off the top of their head, I'm sure. There's a couple others in there that we'll kind of decide on. And then ultimately what we'll do is once I get those, we'll compile them. I'll shoot them out to Jamie, and Jamie can shoot them out to everybody, so everybody kind of knows what those clarifications are. The nice part is the clarifications will show when we shoot those videos. So watching those videos, we'll already have those things taken care of in there. So hopefully it won't be, and like I said, you really look at them, they're super minute issues, so not a big deal.
They're not, but they're things we deal with.
Yeah, but I mean, just things for us
Every
to know.
academy we're asking, so what do we do? What do we
Yeah, what do you want us to do here?
They're
What
all
do you want us to do
simple.
there? So, yeah, we'll just make a decision and be done.
Well, while we got everybody here, can I just speak to one thing related to the SCBA packs, regulators, masks, all that stuff? We do have new packs on order. There's a chance we put them in service for this academy, as we might get them towards the end of February, early March, but it's likely that we'll just keep with the MSAG ones. We know other agencies here use different packs, and we may have a day where we familiarize them with the Scott packs that they use based on what the agency can provide us to educate them on. Not a huge priority, but what the priority is, I really would like to see us not drag firefighters with these packs. We already had one bottle go out of service due to dragging. The regulators if you remember, we were using some older Scott packs and some reserve Scott packs, Black Forest and Monument last semester. We beat the crap out of the regulators and everything else. Those weren't our packs. Right or wrong, I wasn't as worried about it then, because they weren't our packs. It's kind of their problem. But this is our problem now. So if we can only do dragging with the old packs that we have up there, I'll designate what packs we can drag with. I'll also prefer, if we're going through entanglement drills, that we take regulators off. I'm trying to work on another way so they can get the same breathing. I get it, that's part of the drill, breathing down a bottle, running at a time, adding that pressure on them. But we have to monitor a little bit at least on the equipment, because the college does not have a very good budget. I've already spent most of our budget fire science related now, so replacing anything that's broken is gonna be a real big challenge.
Was the regulator issue because they were going through it with them in the belt as opposed to being on, or when they were on air?
I don't know specifically on that. So I know there was times when they would come off air, try to finish going through off air. And for sure, we're getting some regulators in. So probably more when they're not on air, but either way, you just gotta be cognizant that we don't have an infinite budget for sure. Matter of fact, just trying to order a couple nozzles and I'm having a hard time with a couple $1,000. So we know how expensive the fire.
What kind of nozzles do you need? Inch and 3/4? I've got a couple I can bring.
Okay.
Smooth bores, though, they're not fog.
He uses the fogs on the rig he rides.
No, I don't. I have some in my truck right now,
All fogs all the time.
if you want.
That's perfect. I'll take those. I'm still buying some, but yeah.
They'll be mine when the academy is over. They're mine on.
I'm sorry, say that again.
How are we filling bottles
We have our air trailer up.
for those MSAs?
Doing stuff like
Cool.
That'll kill everything.
It'll be good, and we have to just get, are we getting them familiar with it?
Student thing.
That's what he just said. Are we gonna do it, or are they gonna get familiar with how to do it?
Eventually, I'd like them to do it, because that's an easy rest.
Rest pod,
Yeah. Eventually, but
Yeah,
we'll do it first.
As far as, so they're storing all their stuff, the same thing in in that, trailer?
No, so they will utilize one of the two connexes will be in student gear and some of our equipment, and then the other connex will be instructor gear.
Okay, so everything will be up top.
Yep.
Instead of them having their
Yeah,
thing
correct.
down behind the bay.
tools, all their stuff, SCBA's, everything's. up
So
top.
that helps too, because I think that was the
Air
problem.
trailers up top.
Okay,
Be good. Trials and tribulations, yes.
It'll be fun. All right. Anything else? All right, put your time in, lab assistant for whatever time, but whatever, Dave will approve it.
Drive time too, right, Dave?
All right, thank you all.
Drive time too, cool.
All right, thank you.
goodbye, Michael.
Bye, guys.